I'm Danny Otto. Welcome into another episode of That Recap Show. Now, before we get into the episode, just want to issue major spoiler alert. We are going to be going over everything that happened in episode 3 of the Book of Boba. So if you haven't checked that out yet, you may want to pause this video, head over to Disney Plus, watch that, and then come back and enjoy the breakdown. Now, with that out of the way, let's start the show!
Poppin' Off presents That Recap Show.
Alright, joining with me to break down everything that happened in episode 3 of the Book of Boba Fett, it's Jon Rico!
Hey!
What's up? So, look, I mean, today's been fun, but I can't wait to talk about this episode. Like, it was a lot of fun, and, you know, I keep feeling like now I am just turning into the Leonardo DiCaprio meme where he's like pointing at the TV screen, because there are so many different characters and references in every single episode of this. So I just have to kick mine off. The first one that that meme was getting used all over the place for Mephisto showing up in WandaVision. It was going Mephisto
everywhere.
So, same thing's happening in this, but it's more for cameos of people that have been in other stuff. So I couldn't think of anything else. We had a cameo from the actor that plays Milton from Office Space.
And I still haven't received my paycheck, and he took my stapler, and he never brought it back. And then they moved my desk to storage room B, and there was garbage on it.
And all I could think was somebody get this guy his red stapler. Like, that's all. I mean, look, I'm sure he would have been fine with the payment that he was actually given if he had on top of that included a red stapler. That's all I'm saying. But I really liked this episode. I thought it was a lot of fun, and it had a lot of, I guess, newer characters, but I mean, characters that have been around, but newer characters in the series so far. And I'm really interested to kind of see how they pan out moving forward. But anyway, I could go on forever, but what were some of your initial impressions of this episode?
I thought this was a terrific episode, Danny. We're seeing Boba's empire starting to grow a little bit more with the crew that he recruited that at the hands of that water. What is he, like a merchant that Stephen Root was playing, the guy that you mentioned, Milton from Office Space. Yeah, I thought that was a really cool cameo to start that off. And this whole episode had a few cool cameos. We had that one to start. Like, I love Stephen Root as an actor, so seeing him in the Star Wars show was like, oh my god, that's like boom, another one off the list for me. And then I think it's a flashback sequence when he goes to see the Pykes, Boba. I think he's in Mos Eisley from A New Hope, and we have that shot of the impaled stormtrooper heads being set up, which we see in Mandalorian.
Yep.
When Mando goes to Mos Eisley himself, and behind them we actually see Amy Sedaris' character walking by.
Yes.
With her 2 droids. I'm like, hey, look, there she is. I forget her character's name, but
so do I. But
I'm like, yeah, there she is right there, like with the 2 little droids, and we see them. We see those same kind of droids later on in the episode.
Yeah.
And then we had another big cameo in the show that I'll talk about a little bit later on. But I thought this episode was just, chock full of little goodies for people to enjoy. So I had a lot of fun with this one.
I know. So did I, and I hope that keeps and keeps continuing. I have more to talk about also, but let's get into some big takeaways.
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. I wanted to say 3 big takeaways, but now we have a little bit more. So I'm going to kick us off with the first one, and then we'll move on from there. So the first one, all I really have to say is Boba Fett needs to get like better security. I just feel like, look, if I'm going to be in a glass tube surrounded by water, so I'm not aware of any of my surroundings for long periods of time, I'm going to want people like right there in that same room, like, just as an added precaution, so that if somebody breaks in, they know at least, like, there's a commotion and somebody can like signal an alarm to alert things. So it's not just me being woken up out of this tube from an assassin. Let's just say that, because I don't want to get into your takeaway or anything like that. But that's mine. Is more of just like emphasis on Bubba. You are starting to run your own empire. You need to invest in better security. Is all I'm really saying in this takeaway. So anyway, what were your first two big takeaways?
Yeah, I'll give Boba a little bit of pass on that. I mean, he's still growing his business empire, of course. So I mean, I'm sure the palace is a pretty big place. The Gamorreans got to look after another place. Fennec's got to look after another part
What
of
was
the
Fennec?
castle.
What is she doing? What is she doing?
Hey man, it looked like it was like nighttime, so they're probably all sleeping and stuff like that. Like who knows? Like maybe maybe Boba sleeps in the back of the tank. Like that might be his bed.
Yeah, no,
Um,
yeah.
but uh, that scene, Krrsantan pulls him right out of the tank, and like boy, it was like kind of like a boom. Like did not see that coming.
Yeah.
Kind of a moment. Big fight between first Boba, who he's trying to get a hold of his Mandalorian weapons, not doing him any good. But what saves them? The gaffy stick. So of course, like it's this Tusken roots that are coming back to save him once again. And then finally, it kind of takes the fight over to like that area of Jabba's palace where the Rancor pit is, and he's kind of fighting off literally Boba's entire crew. He's fighting the Gamorreans. He even takes a bite out of one of them. He's taking on the new little biker crew gang that he recruits. And then Fennec is there to kind of help out at the end, but we don't really get to see those two square off in any kind of form. Not yet, at least. And then of course, so they capture Krrsantan, and the Hutts are there at the door of the castle, and like, okay, we're sorry. We're so sorry that we sent him here to kill you. Please accept this Rancor as our apology, as they say. And who is the freaking Beastmaster of the Rancor? It's Danny Trejo. And I was like, okay, first of all, like it's Robert Rodriguez show, so that collaboration right there is already kind of known because of course Danny Trejo is Machete. And but we kind of get this cool scene in the Rancor pit where Danny Trejo kind of explains the Rancor beast itself, how it's not just like this monster bred for fighting, it's actually a very emotional creature. And that all kind of ties back to that one scene in Return of the Jedi when after Luke kills the Rancor and we see the sad Beastmaster. Like that to me is still one of the saddest scenes in Star Wars to this day.
Yeah.
Like I felt for that dude. So that to me is a really cool scene right there for throwback fans, of course. And I'm gonna touch a little bit later on about what the end of that scene kind of meant. But my next takeaway is actually kind of how the tie between the present day and the flashbacks is actually the Pykes, which is actually really cool. Clone Wars fans, and if you saw Solos where they kind of first were introduced in live action, but I feel like this is like the more close to like the Clone Wars Pykes that we're seeing. So it turns out that whole scene from the last episode where Boba makes them pay the toll kind of comes back and bites them in the ass here, because that toll is also kind of run by that Nikto biker gang as well. And it seems like the Pykes kind of played the two against each other, like, oh, one of them has to be eliminated. Whoever got to who's first, kind of looks like the Nikto got to them first, and it ends up being the demise of the Tusken village, which is a pretty sad scene. I think the way that Tamar Morrison conveys sadness in that scene in the fire pyre was really well done, especially for a character like Boba Fett. Yeah, I'm really interested to see how the Pykes play more into the present day scenes, and how Boba is kind of like, I have to feel he wants vengeance for that.
Oh, yes.
For all those people. So how that's all going to tie together, and then of course I have a little bit more on that in my predictions as well. But yeah, Danny, what's your final takeaway?
I just have to say, there's a storm a brewing. Like something's happening, and if something doesn't happen, like we still don't know the amount of time for the flashbacks to catch up with present. Like we know it's happening, and we're starting to see those ties. And just like you were saying, I really like how now we are starting to see some of those ties come together. And like we do know that certain events have to happen first. Obviously, Boba and Fennec have to meet up. That still has not. I mean, at least we haven't seen that happen yet. But there are some, and I mean the Pykes seem to be, just like you said, the same thread between the flashbacks and the present. And I think the storms are brewing, and I think I can't wait to see it. But anyway, so final big takeaway. I usually like to have like boom, big reveal. But this is just, I'm just going to put a hopeful one for my final takeaway. And I don't think it takes away from anything that you had in one of your takeaways, but it goes back to the Rancor. And one of the things that Beastmaster Trejo had mentioned, at one time, someone was able to ride a Rancor.
Yes, the Dathomir Witches, which is a
Yes.
cool throwback for that's a Maul connection too, and of course those are all Clone Wars references as well.
Very cool. And so you see Boba's eyes light up, and he goes, "I want to ride him." Like,
Oh yeah,
all I want to see now is him riding into maybe a final battle of this season, riding into battle on the Rancor. Like, that's I want it. Like, from the moment that it got mentioned, I was like, this better be a foreshadowing for some cool action sequence that's gonna happen, because I need that. I didn't even know I needed that, but now that's the only thing I want. Like,
oh yeah, for sure.
but that's my final takeaway, is that it's just a hopeful takeaway. That's what I want, and that's what I need. Like,
Yeah, I have a question, or not a question. I had a hope for the Rancor. I had a hope that it was actually Mochi from Bad Batch, the Rancor that we see in that show. Because we see Bib Fortuna kind of take that Rancor off at the end of the episode where he shows up. But I don't think they never said that this one was named Mochi, so I don't think it's the same one. But
unless maybe that's like another reveal connection type of thing.
Mochi? Give me Mochi. I want to see a full-grown Mochi. But anyways, continue. Sorry.
You want to get into predictions?
Yeah, I do.
Awesome. I think you should kick this off.
I'm going to start with the whole Nikto biker gang attack on the Tusken Raiders. There was only one person they made sure to show that was dead, and that was like the chief. I think there was two people we didn't see, and that was the kind of the female Tusken Raider who trained Boba in hand-to-hand combat, which she seems like she would be capable enough to at least escape. And who would she probably take with her? The child that Boba had a connection with as well. But I also wonder if, because there was one part during the funeral pyre where Boba takes out like a little stick and throws it in there. So I wonder if that was our way of knowing that the kid also perished in that attack.
Well, but I mean, it goes back to what you were
saying.
saying.
Make him a little gaffy stick.
Yeah, even if they weren't there, maybe he just assumed that they had perished.
True.
Too. So I mean, it could be one of those things where he was putting it on there as like ceremoniously, but at the same time, I mean, it goes without saying, if you don't see a death on screen, there's a chance that they're not dead.
The body's not there for us to see it. Anything kind of goes.
Yep.
So that kind of goes into my kind of like my prediction from last week, where I did think that there was going to be a crew of Tusken Raiders in Boba's empire, but maybe it would just be these two, which would make a lot more sense, because she's a capable warrior on her own, and the kid can kind of grow up learning to be like a Tusken Raider bounty hunter, which would be a cool like future story they could tell later on. Like, you introduce a character like that, like almost like a Grogu. Like, I don't think this character is going to be like a Grogu-esque character, but it could be the younger kid that will grow up to do something different than other Tusken Raiders, which would be a pretty cool future, situation for that character. My other thing is the Rancor. I don't want this to be the case, but I feel like the way the Hutts just kind of handed over this Rancor, and they're like, yeah, we're going to go back to Nal Hutta and stuff like that. And then at the end of that scene in the Rancor pit, when after Boba leaves, Trejo's character just kind of talks to the Rancor, and I think he just says like he's gone now, but like he'll be back or something like that. Like, I kind of feel like it's a little bit of a plan like that. They put that Rancor in there to attack Boba, and I think that scene that you want of Boba riding the Rancor is going to be he's riding him in a fight like scenario. So I think he's going to be on the head of a Rancor, but I think he's going to be fighting him pretty much like Luke, or he'll fight it and tame it somehow, which would be a kind of a cool way. Like, no, you are mine. Like, if you may try to kill me, but you are mine now. So maybe Trejo's character will be the one to bite it at the hands of the Rancor, which would be kind of a cool, you tried to screw over my new owner, and now I'm going to eat you, kind of a deal.
I like it.
Yeah, that's what I got, man.
Yeah, I mean, look, either way, I want more Rancor content, and I'm really hoping. I have so much hope for the Rancor, but
Oh yeah.
I mean, my prediction is again kind of simple. Like I don't know what's gonna happen next, and I feel like it's the third episode, and it's the third time I'm saying this. Like I really don't know what's gonna happen next, and it's exciting. It's an exciting kind of feeling for that every episode, kind of going into the next episode fresh and not really alluding to what's. I mean, we know a storms are coming, but we don't really know when or the events that are going to lead up to it, type of thing. But the actor that plays Boba and Fennec were doing an interview, and I want to say it was for either Screen Rant or IGN. It was a really quick clip, but the interviewer asks, "Do you know in this series if we're going to have a Luke Skywalker type moment in the Book of Boba series?"
Like they would say.
he leans in. The actor who plays Boba leans in and goes, "Who?" And the guy goes, "Luke Skywalker." He goes, "Who?" And he goes, "This is the Book of Boba," and he like plays himself.
Yeah.
And he goes, and I was like, I think that's the perfect way to answer it, because number one, you didn't answer the question. Number two, it's pretty close to like the Boba Fett character, because like, I mean, I know he knows, like Boba Fett knows Luke Skywalker because he's a bounty hunter, and he was there when he fell into the Sarlacc pit, but it's kind of the attitude that I feel like Boba Fett would have if somebody had mentioned Luke Skywalker around him. So I thought it was like kind of a really perfect way to kind of feel that, but it in so many different facets of it. Like, you're not giving away anything. You're not even showing your hand with your face, like of like, well, I don't know. Like, you're literally playing the character that you're playing in that kind of situation, I felt like. And I thought that was perfect. And it kind of just more goes to show like how well a job that they're doing with this series to kind of keep you kind of questioning like what's going to happen next, type of thing. Because yeah, it would be awesome to like hear, well, there's going to be something exciting eventually, type of thing. Like, but I really like kind of this mystery. We have so in this day and age where so much stuff gets leaked and so much stuff like that is like confirmed online and stuff. I really like having it's refreshing to have some things that are like we're going into it almost blind every episode, type of thing. Like, we kind of have a feeling of something that could happen next, but we really have nothing confirmed, and we really don't know the next character that could just randomly pop up. And I really like that. And it's really exciting. So like, I mean, it's not even a prediction for me. It's just more now I'm like, I'd really like to see like Mando, or I'd really like to see Han or Chewie or something like that. But at the same time, I'm really happy with the way the series is going, with the little tiny cameos we're getting and the newer characters that we're getting and stuff like that. So it's just, I don't know. It's just an exciting, like, it's more of less of a prediction and more of just a exciting situation to have this kind of air of mystery the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of just, I really don't have a prediction except that I mean, I feel like Evil Chewie, and that's what I'm going to call him for forever. I feel like Evil Chewie could go either way. Either there could be a showdown still between him and Boba, or and this is the other thought that I had. What if he ends up saving Boba's life at some key moment in some sort of key battle, because he spared his? So now it's like,
I think, he'll probably be like, yeah, I owe you one, in a sense. When that comes into play, I'm not sure. But also, like, I thought that was a really interesting thing, how he's like, yeah, no hard feelings, I know business is business, and he just like lets them run off. I was a little bummed they didn't mention the fact that they had actually worked together before, because they had both tried to attack Luke Skywalker after the whole Death Star incident in A New Hope in the comics. Like, they have an interaction with Luke where they actually fight him, and he even actually fights Obi-Wan at one point. That's where that scar over his eye is actually from. It comes from Obi-Wan defending Uncle Owen from Krrsantan because he was going after moisture farmers. So like that whole history wasn't really touched on, but he knows Krrsantan and his history, of course, because when he sees him, like, I don't care that you have gladiators working for you or something like that. So he knows who he is and stuff like that. So he has a reputation. But I'm really interested to see where Krrsantan goes. from him because he just like runs off in nowhere. So does like just go to Mos Espa and get on a ship and leave, or so I wonder what he's gonna do going into the end of the season. That's gonna be really fun to see.
Yeah. Anyway, that's what we think. Let us know in the comments below. What did you think of episode 3? What do you think is going to happen next? And do you think we're going to get the scene that I desperately now need where we get Boba Fett riding his Rancor into battle? Like, that's a scene that I never knew that I needed, and now I have to have. But anyway, as always, don't forget, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to hear about all of our latest video releases. Bye, everybody!